Alright, well hello. So we're going to talk about naming schemes. I'm pretty particular, and actually I think I'm going to start with AutoCAD, but if you are say in 1101 and you're working on naming your parts the correct thing so that you don't get docked off points, you're going to want to follow this pattern. So right now, like this is chapter 2 exercise 1, and I probably should ignore that, but it's fine. So like what you want to do instead of having a name like this, you want to have that title in there, but before it you need to have your first name, last name, underscore, title, and then another underscore after the title, and then you're going to want your class number. So for me it's going to be Corey Allen, chapter 2 exercise 1, and then 1101. And this is what you want to be naming it as. Now, obviously in this case I went ahead and had a different name on there, but for you guys it makes it a lot easier on me if I can open up everything you have without having to go through Blackboard every time and just check it in one go. Saves me a lot of time. I don't tend to ask for a lot, but this is one of those things that I am asking you guys to do, which it'll benefit everybody. Like you'll get your stuff graded quicker, and that means more time with me. But basically you're going to follow this pattern, and if for whatever reason you didn't have it like I didn't have it, you can do a save as. But be mindful that when you're saving a copy of something, that's what you're doing. When I hit save as, it keeps that original one. You're duplicating it with the name you want. So ideally, if you did mess up your name the first time, the best thing to really do technically would be to go in here to that chapter and rename it here in your files. That way you're not having to duplicate and then delete the other file that you originally had too, And also, I would advise, being smart enough to put things in folders. You're going to have a million assignments, so it's really going to be helpful to keep your files tidy. But it's pretty straightforward for AutoCAD, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into Inventor. And, it's the same concept, but, you've got to be a little more particular with it. You've got drawings, assemblies, and parts, okay? So say you have a drawing with stuff in it, your drawing needs to be the thing with the name and the assembly. Now what's crazy is they can have the same name because they have this extension at the end that makes them different. An assembly is a .iam and a drawing is either a .idw or a .dwg. But then you've also got IPTs, which are just the parts. So say I do have an assembly like this, you've got the assembly, all the parts in it. The parts can be just a regular name, but I want you to make sure you're naming your assembly with that same format of first name, last name, underscore title, underscore class number. So, for mine, it's Corey Allen Leveling Assembly 2010. And then the drawing also has the same name, except for, like technically, it sounds goofy, but this is the Leveling Assembly drawing. So you have assembly twice, but that's because this is the type of drawing this is. And the parts, they can have the same name, but if you do only have an assignment, say you're in drafting 2010 and your first part there is just a single part, you don't have any assemblies or whatever, which you're going to do that for 8 chapters or whatever before you start getting into assemblies. You need to make sure you have that naming scheme for your part. So say it was the lifting block, you have Corey Allen underscore lifting block underscore 2010. So just make sure you've got that naming scheme. And, if it is daunting and you're worried about messing up the naming scheme, you can always reach out to me. Or, I wouldn't advise it, but you could just name every single thing with that naming scheme. It's not going to make a big difference to me, but that just seems inconvenient when you can just make sure whatever you're working on, the top level thing, you have that naming scheme on it. That's going to wrap up this video.